All right, let's get into a theory that is genuinely going to bend your brain. We're going to explore this wild idea that the UFOs we hear about, they're not from other planets. They might be from somewhere or somewhen, way, way closer to home.
So, just for a minute, forget everything you think you know about little green men from Mars or some distant galaxy. Just chew on this for a second. What if those bizarre ships and those strange, otherworldly beings aren't from another world at all, but are actually travelers from our own future?
Now, this isn't just some random fan theory. It gives us a completely new way to look at one of the biggest events in UFO history. I mean, we all know the story of Roswell, right? Well, this idea flips the whole thing on its head and asks a different question. Who or what was really in that craft?
And you know what's really wild? This idea has been connected to people who would know. There's an account that claims U.S. Navy Commander George W. Hoover, a guy with top-secret clearance, revealed that the Roswell crash wasn't extraterrestrial. No, he supposedly said it involved humans traveling through time.
So if they weren't from another planet, who were they? Let's dive into what this theory says about their true identity.
And here's the key twist. The theory says we should stop calling them extraterrestrials, which means from outside Earth, and start calling them extratempestrials, meaning from outside our time. They're literally us, just, our great-great-great, you get the picture, descendants.
Okay, but wait a second. If they are us, why do all the classic descriptions make them look so, well, alien? Let's dig into how the theory explains their appearance.
And this, right here, this is maybe the most mind-blowing piece of the puzzle. Look at this. On one side, you've got the classic gray alien description. And on the other, you've got actual scientific predictions about where human evolution is heading. The overlap is, honestly, it's pretty startling.
Let's break it down. They're bipedal. They walk on 2 feet. Check. They have a larger, more rounded skull. Well, that makes sense for housing a bigger, more powerful brain. And those huge dark eyes? That could totally be an adaptation for seeing in low-light environments, like deep space or on planets far from their sun. It just fit.
Right, but let's be real. How could they even get here? This is where we run into the biggest roadblock of all, the tricky laws of physics and time. To really get the problem, let's just use a big number. Imagine you're taking a trip across our galaxy. Let's say 60,000 light years. That incredible distance highlights a massive paradox when you start traveling close to the speed of light.
So, thanks to Einstein and his theory of relativity, we know this crazy thing called time dilation exists. The faster you fly through space, the slower time passes for you. For our travelers, a journey that feels like a totally reasonable 60 years would mean 60,000 years have zipped by back on Earth. They'd get where they're going, sure, but they could never, ever go home again. And that's the big question, isn't it? If time gets so warped, how could they possibly be visiting us from their future and then get back to it? The answer that this theory gives us has nothing to do with warp drives or folding space-time. Nope. It suggests that they didn't just conquer physics, they conquered their own biology. Just imagine for a second. What if future humans could dramatically slow down their own aging? I mean, live for thousands of years. Suddenly, a 60-year trip is just a blip, a tiny fraction of their lifespan. This mastery over their own biology would make the whole time dilation problem almost, well, meaningless. They could go and they could come back home.
So, if they've figured out how to basically stop aging, what else have they mastered? Let's take a look at how technology might have completely reshaped what it means to be human.
This is a huge shift in how we think about things. Right now, for us, technology is mostly a tool, something external we hold or wear. But for them, the line between the biological human and the machine could be completely gone.
And you can already see how we're walking down this path. I mean, think about it. We went from phones in our hands to smartwatches on our wrists to medical implants inside our bodies. The next logical step is full integration, where tech is just a seamless part of who we are.
And that kind of tech could explain some of the strangest parts of alien encounters. You know how people always report telepathic communication? Well, what if it's not magic? What if it's just a super advanced, built-in universal translator that's decoding our language and communicating directly with our brain?
So what would a civilization like that even look like? With that level of intelligence and integrated tech, they could probably manage resources with near-perfect efficiency. Imagine massive populations living in small spaces with almost zero pollution. It would solve the whole overpopulation problem that their super long lifespans might otherwise cause.
And all of this leads us to the final and maybe most important question of all. If these visitors really are us from the future, why in the world are they coming back here, to their own distant past?
Well, the most straightforward answer is probably the right one. They're scientists. They're cosmic anthropologists, biologists, and historians, and they're studying their own origin story. To them, we are living, breathing history, a perfect window into where they came from.
And once you start thinking about that, the rabbit hole gets even deeper. If they're studying their own past, is it possible their presence accidentally shaped it? Could they be the gods from the sky in our ancient myths? Could they be the reason for some of those unexplained sudden leaps forward in ancient human knowledge? When you put it all together, this theory completely reframes the UFO phenomenon. It's not some scary alien invasion we need to worry about. It's more like a university field trip. And our own descendants are just coming back to study the exhibits in the museum. The exhibits being us. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If our distant, highly evolved relatives were watching us right now, at this moment in history, what is it about our society, our technology, our choices, that they would find the most fascinating? Or maybe the most concerning? What would they be trying so desperately to understand about us?